Hey everyone, this is Rashad, and this is our Journey to a Million. Today, I'm going to be doing another reaction video with Dave Ramsey. And this time, he's going to basically be answering the question of whether or not the person who writes in should be paying a living wage to his employees. I'm really curious to hear what Dave Ramsey has to say about this. Let's get into it.
Today's question comes from Thomas in Missouri. As a Christian, I feel like I have a duty to take care of my employees. I have a small business with 9 employees. They currently make minimum wage. If I were to raise their wages to a living wage, then my profit margin would decrease. This is a business I worked really hard at for so many years. I think God would want me to benefit from my hard work now. What should I do? Okay. This is an onion here, Dave.
Fair question, right? Fair question. He understands that he has some employees, and this is a business he's worked on for quite a while. But at the same time, like, I have employees who need to eat and they need to have a place to stay. Am I giving them enough? Am I paying them enough? Am I rewarding them for their hard work enough so that they can have, so they can live? So let's see what Ken Coleman and Dave have to say about this.
Number one, businesses deal with this all the time. And when they raise wages, they have a decision to make. Do you want your profit margin to stay the same? And so, if so, then you have to raise your costs, and you have to weigh that with the marketplace and what your customers will or will not pay. And this is the dance that a lot of small business people have to deal with, and have had to deal with it and have been hurt from it. So I don't think it's a choice here between God wants you to benefit from your hard work now and not doing what you want to do, which is pay your employees more. I think you can do both, but you're going to have to square raising some prices or cutting costs in other areas, if that's even an option. This is hard to answer. I want to say that everything I just said is very difficult to answer that via a static question where we can't answer a lot of questions. Ask more questions.
Yeah, the buzzword that's the problem in this is living wage.
And who determines that?
Yeah, well, I can tell you who determines it. Me.
Right, that's my point, not what
I'm the
culture
employer.
is saying.
No, I'm the employer. Here's the thing, okay? If I pay $12 an hour, or if I pay whatever you want to, whatever minimum wage is in your area, okay, and a guy comes in and you do a budget on the guy, and he has 5 kids, and he needs $90,000 a year to pay his bills and feed his kids. I can't, as a Christian, hire him for that job because I can't pay him $90,000 to do that job. And $90,000 for him is a living wage because that's what it takes to feed his 5 kids. Okay? If I have a 19-year-old who lives with his parents, comes in and is looking for part-time work, and any money he makes is going in his pocket because he has basically no personal overhead, and $12 an hour is what I can afford as the employer, then that is his living wage. So this idea that there is a...
Okay, so I'll be honest, I can't disagree with anything he said so far. He's made a lot of sense, but I have a feeling let's see where he goes with this.
A universal living wage is absolute horse crap. There is no such thing because it takes families in different situations, in different locales, a different amount to live. It takes a family of 4 more to live in Manhattan than it does in Nashville. So the living wage would be different for a family of 4 or a family of 1 or a family of 14. The living wage changes on that. And so what we do at Ramsey as Christians, we have a responsibility to take care of our employees. And one of the responsibilities is not hiring someone who can't afford to live on what we are paying for that position. So you are disqualified if you can't make it on what we are paying for that position, regardless of...
Okay, so that leads me to another question or another comment. So a lot of times we apply for these jobs where we have no idea what the starting pay is, or we have no idea what our pay would be if they included all of our experience, whether it's working in a factory or working at a fast restaurant. We don't know. It's not enough transparency. So I know if there's a job out there that I would be interested in applying for, but I don't even know what the pay range is, or I can't even get in a ballpark of how much I would be if I went through the hiring process and the interview process. I wouldn't be interested in applying for the job. So I absolutely agree with what he's saying right now. At the same time, how am I even going to know whether or not to apply for the job if the corporation or the company I'm interested in working for is not transparent about how much they pay?
Of if you want the job or you're qualified for the job. We will run a budget with you because we care about you, and it is our responsibility once you are here to make sure you are cared for. And we do take care of our team. Beyond measure, we take care of our.
You know what? I absolutely like what he's saying right there. I know Dave, I know he's, definitely radical about his beliefs, and that's fine. A lot of us are. I know with Dave, he really is against the whole, minimum wage and all of that stuff, just like he's kind of talking about here. But I totally agree with him. Like, what if every employer had the duty or believed that they should sit down with their employees and make sure they're okay? Like, okay, here's going to be how much you make if you come work for us. Let's sit down and do a budget together. Let's put, processes and procedures in place that will allow you to live within your means on the salary that we pay. What if every employer took that stance like that? They're going to take care of their employees. So I do like the sound of that. Like, I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but I like what that sounds like.
Our team.
That's correct.
Way beyond measure, we take care of our team, but we do not hire people who cannot afford to live on what we pay for that position.
Yeah.
And that is our responsibility. That's your responsibility. So, well, we had one lady go, well, based on your inappropriate request for my personal budget information, I'm going to withdraw my name from future employment consideration. To which we said, people that talk like that don't even work here. So we're not doing, it's great. Yeah. See ya, goodbye. Don't let the door hit you in the butt. It's good. We don't need you. But the reason for the inappropriate request of the personal information is to protect you from you. Because some people will take a job that they can't afford to live on the income because they're so desperate for a job.
Right.
And but this idea that there's some kind of generic living wage out there floating around that you have a moral obligation to that's a singular number is absolute horse crap. Yeah. So you're paying minimum wage for 9 employees. Are any of them trying to actually live on that with a family? If so, why did they take that job, or why did you hire them into something they can't afford to live on? And that's a bigger question than do you raise your wages to meet this?
Right. And here's the other thing. You have to look at your business model and the market and go, based on whatever product or service I am selling, because it's one of the two, this is what the market will allow me to do. And I may not ever be able to truly have all 9 of them on what would be called a full living wage. You might be in the hourly space, and that's what you have. And thus you've got turnover, you have younger people working for it. That's just part of your business.
I had a guy come in the other day and said a company offered him $80,000 more to do the exact same thing he's doing with us. And we said,
fantastic.
We'll help you pack your desk.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
We cannot make a return on paying you $80,000 more than you're being paid now. So you're going to be working at the new place, my friend, and we'll help you go. Because we have to make a return on investment here, or the rest of the team doesn't eat.
Right.
Because their checks don't clear. There's a responsibility all the way around. So yes, God would want you to take care of your team, and He would want you to benefit from your hard work now.
Hey, just about to wrap that up. So, man, I got a lot to say about that particular video. I will say this, as a business owner, which I have never been, but as a business owner, you obviously get in the business to make money, and you get in the business to maximize your profit, to maximize your returns. It's a delicate balance. In one sense, you want to make sure you are taking care of your employees. You want to make sure that they are able to maximize their living while working at your job. On the other hand, you want to make as much money as you possibly can. Bottom line is you have to look at the income and the expenses and just put everything together and figure out how much money you're going to have left over, how much money you're going to be able to bring into your family. So if you think about it, business owners have so much to manage. They have people they have to manage. They have budgets they have to manage. They have to think about the families of their employees. They have to think about so much, and they have a lot. It's a lot. That's why being a business owner isn't for everybody. And clearly, this guy has a conscience. He clearly has a heart for people. And I was listening to one guy on a podcast and he said that he's a true jerk, which is why he's a great business owner, because he doesn't necessarily care for people. He cares for numbers. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to look at things. So this guy clearly has sat down. He's done his analysis. He's figured like, hey, I really want to help my employees out. As a Christian man, I want to help my employees out. I want to pay them a living wage. But if you think about it, I agree with Dave. Like, there really is no such thing as a living wage. In order for me to have a living wage, I probably need $50 an hour. But then my son, when he gets to be 18, 19 years old, he might need $20, $25 an hour to get the place he needs and to be able to, afford to eat, because he doesn't have the same expenses that I have. So, and if you think about it, right, like if you have somebody who has a wife and 3 kids, is he going to get $35 an hour? And there's somebody who has no spouse and no kids, are they going to get something commensurate with their experience? Would they get $19 an hour? So I can get what Dave is talking about. At the same time, I also understand the other point of view. You want to take care of your people as much as possible. So if I were in the business owner's shoes, I would just have a number in mind that I want to take home with my family and profit. And after that, I would look at doing bonuses or something, or even spreading that out, in bonuses or in wage increases. Because one thing in a capitalistic society is that when you pay them low wages, it's very difficult to have loyalty, or you're going to have those individuals who are, straight out of school, who don't have the experience and who really are looking for the next best thing, right? So I'll give you a personal example of that. My son, he was working at his first job. He started at 15 years old. They were the only company in the area that hired 15-year-olds. And he did that because that's all he could do. But then as soon as he got 16 years old, he basically chunked up the deuces, because he was able to go and get almost any job he wanted that would pay him more money. And that's just how it is. Like, on these jobs that pay these very low wages, you always see a revolving door. Every week you have a different group of teenagers who are working that job. And you have people who are not well trained. You have businesses that are, they shut down early, or they shut down on the weekend because they didn't have enough people coming in. And there are various reasons for that. So when people have options, I know a lot of people blame it on COVID and blame it on these, checks and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line in a capitalistic society is that people are going to go where the money is. Especially in the economy the last couple of years, people have not necessarily had to put up with some of the things that they put up with in the past. So they're like, okay, if you're going to pay me $9.50 an hour, and this company over here is going to pay me $10.50 an hour, I'm gone. I'm not even giving my 2 weeks. And I've seen that happen multiple times. But the bottom line is, this guy clearly has a heart, and he wants to do what's right. And that's why he's asking. He's probably wrestling with whether or not he should, let's say, take home $80,000 a year, and his employees take home whatever they're taking home, or I could take home $100,000 a year, and then they're going to take home less, or I could take home $60,000 a year and they'll take home a lot more. There's nothing wrong with him being able to ask himself that question and have that self-reflection. I think he's a good man who probably has run a good business for a long time, and now he's just trying to figure out how he could, better treat his employees. But there's a lot of nuances to this whole thing. It's no perfect society. It's no perfect situation. I just believe that anytime you have a situation where you are not paying people what they feel they're worth, you're always going to be worried about losing that individual. That's just how it is, and that's capitalism. Everybody wants to maximize their dollar. But hey, that's it. I just want to hear what you have to think about this whole situation, about Dave's and Ken's comments and my comments. You can definitely drop your feelings in the comments below, and I would love to hear it. Appreciate you guys for continuing to support the channel. If you have not already subscribed, please subscribe and please share this content. All right. I appreciate you guys. Take care.